Hi everybody, coming back to you with our weekly intelligence update where I talk about one economic issue, one national security issue, and one democracy issue. This week on economic issues, the big beautiful bill Senate edition. We have the Senate version. I want to talk about what it's going to do to healthcare because there's important changes. Number two, on national security, we got to talk about Iran and the Middle East, what's going on there. And number three, on democracy, we had political assassinations in Minnesota and what that means for our country going forward. So first, on the big beautiful bill Senate version. The Senate has now produced their own version that the House already voted on. This has lots of changes in it, but a really important one is on the issue again of healthcare. Remember, the theory of the case here is they're looking for cuts in things like Medicaid, food stamps, Medicare, so that they can pay for a big tax cut for the wealthy. And while the House version of the bill already risked cutting health care to 13 million people and raising the cost for everyone else who has private insurance, the Senate bill is even worse. It goes after something called the provider tax, which is just another way that our hospitals, particularly rural hospitals, pay their overhead, their bills. So the House bill was bad on cutting people off Medicaid. This makes it even harder, and we're hearing from some hospitals, again, particularly rural hospitals in Michigan, where they could be losing tens of millions of dollars and have a trouble staying open, right? Imagine a rural hospital closing because they don't have enough money coming in because of Medicaid cuts. So keep your eye on that. We're going to start to vote on that bill next week. Number two, the issue of national security, I wanted to talk about Iran and the Middle East. Look, there's a lot of discussion going on about this. I would say, as a former CIA officer and Pentagon official, my view on what's going on is deeply connected to my 3 tours in Iraq, right? When I served in Iraq, I saw up close and personal what the Iranians were doing to target Americans, kill civilians. I saw their terrorism up close and personal with rockets and mortars landing on our bases. I saw ballistic missiles fired by the Iranians, and then obviously the big threat is them ever getting their hand on a nuclear weapon. So I have no love lost for the Iranians. But I think at the same time, my experience in Iraq really taught me we have to be deeply concerned about getting into any other kind of forever war, right? We also thought Iraq would be a quick war. We thought Afghanistan would be a quick war, and 20 plus years later, we were still in. So today I had the opportunity to talk to Secretary Hegseth in a hearing and asked about, not about the military operation. I believe the U.S. military is the best in the world and could conduct an operation. That's not the question. It's the day after. What kind of planning and work is going on now if we're ever going to consider getting into this war? So those are the things that most worry me, and the risk of escalation that goes on in any war. When things happen by mistake, planes go down, things happen, I don't trust that this administration and the leaders in this administration are going to manage that escalation. Lastly, on democracy issues, we had the political targeted violence against Melissa Hortman and her husband and other lawmakers in Minnesota this week. There was a list that they found when they captured this assassin of other people on the list. I was on the list, but I think the most important thing is what is happening in our country now, where we are so angry and so agitated with each other that it's bleeding into literal targeted assassinations and killings. And it doesn't matter whether you're a Democrat like Melissa or Republican when President Trump was targeted. We are in serious trouble if it becomes normalized and okay to have targeted political assassinations because of the way people think or vote. And to me, this was driven home how important leadership is in this conversation. I had peers here in the Senate who were making fun of that political assassination, who were blaming Democrats for that political assassination. And I just think that we have to get back to what we would teach our children, which is you can have as much of a disagreement as you want with someone else, but you can't target them with violence that crosses a line. In this case, the people who perpetrate that violence should be held accountable to the letter of the law as much as we can do to go after them, to send that signal. And we need to call out that political violence, even if it starts small with graffiti or destruction of property. People often climb a ladder of escalation. They go from doing smaller things to bigger, violent things, and we need to intervene and call it out wherever we see it. So those are the 3 things I'm watching this week. I'll come back to you next week.